I wish they didn't have my jacket
Yeah,
on, but I do.
know. Here we are. One of the last wintry days of spring
Yes.
here on the Maricopa Trail. We are way the heck out in the middle of nowhere in the Tonto National Forest. We're northeast of the town of Cave Creek, about 4.5 miles north of Bartlett Dam Road. And I'm here with Ernie Wieber of the Maricopa Trail and Park Foundation. He's with us today to kind of describe some of the restoration efforts on the trail in the aftermath of last October's Sears Fire that took out 14,400 plus acres of this beautiful backcountry.
Our biggest challenge was getting material out to the places we were doing work. There isn't a lot of rock out here. It's all decomposed granite, which is why it's so vulnerable to rain damage after all the vegetation's been burned off from it. So we had to haul probably 10 to 15 tons of boulders from down out of that wash up to the top of that hill where the granite outcroppings are, where we could finally mine some local rock. So all of these rocks have to be, they all come from off the site here because there's nothing.
Okay, so this segment of the Maricopa Trail is the Bronco-Granite Mountain Trail, which runs from the McDowell-Sonoran Preserve right up to the Bronco Trailhead just south of the Seven Springs area in Tonto National Forest. This was really hit hard by the Sears Fire. So let's take a walk out, and Ernie, if you can describe some of the damage and some of the challenges you had in repairing the trail along the way.
Yeah, this was a hard burn. A lot of the vegetation out here has been killed. It's not going to regrow.
All this hilly area here is really prone to erosion.
Yep. It's all about this right here, these drains, all these dips we put in.
Yeah, looks like we have
every
some
100 feet.
some fillery, stork's bill coming back in, and
Yep.
Mexican gold poppies. That's kind of good to see because the vegetation really helps stabilize
Yes.
and keeps the water from running off. And,
Yeah, it's coming back quick.
and that's gone now.
A lot of nutrients in the soil. That's probably the only good thing of this.
Yeah. Matt, it's really too bad you don't have smell-o-vision on your video because you can still...
Yes.
We've had a little bit of rain in the past couple days, and the smell of the
charcoal.
The charcoal and the ash is really, really in the air. With climate change and all, those junipers that were out here were really historic, and many of them were up to 400 years old, and I just don't think we're ever going to get those back.
They haven't come back in our other burn sites. We have a burn site from 2004, and they didn't recover from that.
You could see remnants of the Cave Creek Complex fire,
Yes.
which was the third largest fire in Arizona history. It took out nearly 250,000 acres.
Yep.
Look at the mountain views all around here.
Yeah, it's incredible.
I mean, you know, the trail is 315 miles long. It circumvents the entire valley. It connects all 10 county regional parks and urban centers, suburban centers, and also comes into this area in the Tonto National Forest, which I think you'll agree, this is the most remote
Yes.
and also the most stunning, I think,
This
from
is-
having hiked it, area of the trail. So, you know, you mentioned getting materials and work crews back here is a challenge.
They stayed out here. They stayed out here for 2 weeks at a time to work because it's so far out.
And what were some of the organizations
had-
that worked with you?
We hired the ACE,
American Conservation Corps?
yes,
Out of Flagstaff. Right.
And they did two polls out here, and they did a lot of work. You'll see.
That's a very interesting organization. Young people from all
Yes.
across the country
Yep.
will come out here, and what do?
They're all well educated, and they're looking for an outdoor experience, and they get it.
Kind of like the Peace Corps for outdoor people,
It is.
huh?
It is. I would join it if I was young enough.
Me too.
I couldn't hang with these guys.
Me too.
We had one guy, we called him Paul Bunyan. He was picking up rocks and he could barely get his arms up. We're looking at him like, no, don't. He's like, where do you want it? Most of those rocks are 300-400 pounds. You may not look that big, but they are heavy and big.
So this guy was already here, but
That
the
one.
rest of the 300-pounders were moved by these young folks.
Yep.
Wow. That's a lot of work.
Oh yeah. They're a hard-working group. If you ever start losing confidence in the youth, come out with an ACE crew sometime. you'll be restored.
That is so true, you know.
You'll be restored. There's such a wonderful group of young people, and they have a great attitude, and they love being out here, and they love getting instructions. If you tell them something to do a different way, they're happy to try that.
Yeah.
I mean, they're an open book. They're here to learn.
Spoken by two curmudgeonly boomers.
Yes.
Yes. We love it. We
Yes.
love it. There is hope yet.
There is a lot of hope, actually. Had a quad, a trailer, and a hand cart all daisy chained together, and we were pulling up about 1,500 pounds at a shot.
And again, the purpose of hauling them up here is?
We make these large dips to collect water off from the hillside and get it off from the trail as often as possible.
Right.
To slow down the effect of erosion. And we had the luxury of coming through here after a rain, so we could see already where we were having very small issues that would turn into large issues if we had a big rain. It's kind of funny that in the desert, your biggest challenge is water control.
Yeah.
You wouldn't
Isn't
think.
that ironic?
It's very ironic.
You really do need some pretty serious backcountry skills to be working out here.
So, you know, these rocks were all used during the trail construction to hold this corner. God gave those to us. He put them there, and we worked around them.
So it was kind of like a natural trail protector right there.
And then they continued that same theme going here to harden this whole edge. Here's some of our smaller walls, but this is where you've got the water kind of coming down off the side of the trail and off the side of the hill a little bit. So we're hardening that so we don't lose this trail edge. Fine example of a really well-built water drain. They have both sides protected so the water can't run around the outside of it, and they've filled all the gaps with open rock so the water can still flow through it, not over the top of it and blow down the side of the hill. So this basically diffuses the water and slows it down, and it goes from a small space into a wide space, so it creates less erosion.
And artful as well.
Yes, it's done very well. Nice rocks. And each one of those rocks is probably 400 to 500 pounds.
Oh,
Yeah.
cue up the young folks.
Yes, Paul Bunyan.
Now we can see that smart trail building, sustainable trails are kind of built so that the water does run off them.
They all have camber.
Right, which is really important that people not cut switchbacks and make their own little paths.
Yes, because then the water will run straight down those little paths you made, and they'll blow out, take out the whole corner of your trail. We have this giant watershed. All water from both of these hills is coming down into this channel and making its way across the trail here. And so this was the original line, and they rock lined down in and then put the edge there, so the water will actually fill up in this basin and kind of seep out through the edges instead of blowing down the side of the hill. So we armored this entire length and back around to make sure that this hill would not go away in the event of a rain. So same thing here. They did this entire rock wall from the corner all the way down. And this one will be here when my grandkids grow up.
Yeah. You can just see that thing sliding into oblivion if you hadn't stabilized it.
Yeah. We probably put 3 or 4 tons of rock in this particular spot, which we were able to source right here.
You buried it under here to kind of stabilize it.
What we do is dig a shelf along here, and we set all the heavy rock into that shelf and then recover it. So if you get a heavy rain, theoretically it'll harden the edge. I mean, if it's hard enough, it'll go.
It looks like you did nothing.
Yeah.
You know, it's just kind of in there.
That's the idea.
Right, and you still get that out there in the middle of the wilderness field without having the look of it being constructed, you know. So, which is a valuable asset for hikers who like to get away from it all.
Yep. You want to keep your work a little random, just so, like you said, nature kind of is random, and it looks better if you stick with the program.
Exactly. You know, the very fact that you guys were out here right away after the fire to fix it told me that, you know, this trail is important. It's really a resource for us, and it's part of who we are. And the fact that it's, you know, the fire was in October and here it is March and it's already fixed. That's just really speaks to the importance of outdoor recreation and trails like this one.